I'm Ed Orcutt, your state representative from the 18th District. I represent portions of Cowlitz and Clark counties, including Camas, Washougal, Salmon Creek, Battleground, Ridgefield, and La Center, up through Woodland, Kalama, and Toutle to the county line. Many of you have heard about redistricting and have heard that my district is going to change. But I want to reassure you that I will continue to represent you throughout the 2012 year. I'm reporting to you from the 2012 legislative session here in Olympia today. As most of you know, the legislature met for a special session last month in an effort to solve our state's projected $2 billion shortfall. Many of my colleagues and I were prepared to come to Olympia and solve the entire budget problem and focus on getting our 300,000 unemployed people back to work. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The special session lasted a few weeks, and budget leaders cobbled together a mixture of budget fund transfers, early savings, and other budget gimmicks to solve about 1/4 of the budget shortfall. I supported this proposal in the end because I felt that some action was better than no action at all. But in this case, I believe we could have and should have done much more to get our state's spending back in line with our revenues. Speaking of revenue, you might find it interesting that the state's revenues are expected to grow about 6.9% over the next 2 years. Think about that, 6.9%. I doubt many families in our state can say the same thing about their revenues. And that translates into $2 billion more than we took in the last budget. Yet even with this expected revenue increase, there's already talk of raising taxes even further. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The minute folks start talking about tax increases, all efforts towards prioritizing spending and making significant government reforms simply vanish. That isn't right. I believe we can balance this budget, fund education, protect communities, and deliver services to the most vulnerable among us within our existing revenues. We can do it and we must do it. However, while we're debating the budget shortfall in Olympia and looking at solutions to our state's spending issues, we have to remember the state's paramount duty, education. The recent state Supreme Court decision once again emphasizes the fact that education is the state's #1 priority, and I agree. I believe we should fund education first. Education should get the first dollar from the state's budget, not the last. My House Republican colleagues and I have a proposal in the works that will do just that, create a separate education budget that demands the state fund basic education and fund it first. I hope you will support me in this effort. Once again, as I make decisions in Olympia this year, I will continue to weigh whether a proposal helps create jobs in Washington or hurts job creation. In her State of the State speech, Governor Gregoire called for a new $1.50 tax on each barrel of oil produced in this state. In her mind, this is how we create more jobs, government jobs, in the form of new infrastructure projects. But I believe we need privately funded, long-term investment jobs, not short-term, government-funded, taxpayer-dependent jobs. And her sales tax proposal, in my mind, the governor has put education, public safety, and our most vulnerable at the bottom of the priority list by continuing to request tax increases to fund what should be priority services. And remember, we didn't get Boeing to build the 787 in Washington by raising their taxes. We did it by lowering their tax rates. This year, I'll once again be working on solutions to help give employers the certainty they need to begin hiring again and expanding their operations. We need a strong, thriving private sector to help grow our economy and to get Washington working again. I also want to encourage you to call me with your questions and opinions about the budget and other legislative matters that are going to be before us this year. You can use my direct line, 360-786-7812. Again, that's 360-786-7812. You can use the toll-free hotline or send a message by email. And don't forget to check my webpage for news. And while you're there, you can sign up for my e-newsletter. Again, I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Ed Orcutt, your state representative.